All right, welcome to Stampscapes Live. If you're watching on live or replay, thanks for watching. This is going to be just some quick tweaks on here using the white pigment ink. Let me get my other pad here. White pigment ink with a cotton ball. Okay, so this was stamped out last night. And it's looking really busy right now with all these little snowy little dots coming down in here. It was too wet and the impressions weren't adhered to the surface, being that they were wet. So they've been allowed to dry and they've been spray sealed with a Krylon workable fixative. It's gotten a little bit kind of frostier looking with the spray sealant on there, but for the most part it's pretty glassy, blue or smooth, I should say, on here. So really not too bad with the workable fixative. Sometimes you spray with a thicker type of spray and it becomes more of like a kind of a brushed aluminum looking type of surface rather than kind of a mirrored one. Hello, Froggy Fresh, how are you? I was thinking about your future channel with the cussing. I think about that every now and then and laugh, but in a good way. Good, how are you? Are you keeping cool out there? Hello, Mark. Hey, Mark, I checked out that those trees. I keep forgetting the name of those trees, but I did check that out on online after that video. Yeah, but hopefully you guys are staying nice and hydrated and cool wherever you are at. I was watching some videos of like high temperatures and especially like Death Valley, which is the most extreme, It's like temperatures of like getting upwards of like 130 Fahrenheit. Pretty crazy. All right, so I need to kind of gauge how much ink is on my cotton ball here. If you notice, I'm kind of inking it up and it gets very frayed, as a cotton ball would. And then you kind of smash it down to flatten it out right there. And if you're just doing it on the back of the lid here, you're not losing any of that ink, but it's pressing back into the surface of the cotton ball, which is what you want. But you just don't want it like sloppy wet, okay? So I was tapping on here and it's like, I can barely see anything coming out, so I had to re-ink, okay? But better that than to tap down and you get this big sloppy kind of mess in here, all right? I mean, if that happened, you just wipe it off, but I would say that this white in here is adhered to the surface, but you don't want to go like rubbing on it too aggressively because you might rub down past that thin layer of spray sealant on there right down into the image, okay? But like I said, I mean, it's not like super fragile or anything like that, but you just don't want to, kind of do that type of, or have to do that type of movement on there. But see that right there? I really like this kind of application of this white on top of this type of foil because it looks like it's kind of glowing right in there. And you want to do it with the kind of the mindset that I mention this all the time, but some people might be watching these videos for the first time, but you want to do this with this kind of the mindset that you're applying like a thin layer of powder or like chalk or pastel or something like that to this surface. That's the look that you're going after. Now we're doing it with a wet medium here in ink, wet pigment ink, but you want to just do it very lightly. And I say that because some people just ink up and they just go straight on there and there's these big blobs of wet ink. Okay? All right. Yeah, you got that notice after it streamed. Like I said, Mark, and I responded to that one. I said, well, hey, YouTube wants you to watch it twice, even though you didn't get the notice the first time. But, when they sent that notice to you after I was on. All right. So there we go like that. See, this is kind of this is going to be another unifying element within this right here. We can't do we're not doing blending. We're not working shadows and things like that with a bunch of different inks on this type of foil because And you kind of can if you're working with black. Uh, Brilliance ink, and I've done that before. But on this one right here, I mean, if you try to stamp black imagery on here, it's just not going to show up at all because this foil is just too dark for that, okay? So we need these kind of unifying elements in here. We can't just color the whole forest floor a certain color. So we kind of unify this type of look right here through textures. So we have all these little dotty pattern textures, which I went overboard on with the splatter painting and then the white paint pen. So it got a little bit too busy. But hey, I go a little bit overboard all the time. But in this type of technique right here, or working on standard white paper, where I have a lot of detail that I add in with the paint pens and things like that, I just kind of bring it back to a little bit more of a mellow look with the use of this white pigment ink. Okay, so again, we have all these sharp little elements in here, these little dots, okay? But this is kind of the counter balancing texture to it. It's very soft and kind of glowing as opposed to sharp and I guess light, like the maximum lightness in this scene. It's like as white as anything white in here can get, and a little dot is very crisp. So this is a really nice textural balance to it in the form of this nice, whatever, powdery looking kind of mist. It's not powder, but that's what it kind of looks like on here. Glad you're doing great there. Let's see. Larch, yeah. And then someone from, Linda was on vacation, and she lives in Canada, and then she said she was driving back and she thought all those trees were all dead. But when she watched our video and she saw your comments on the larch and things like that, she's like, oh, okay, they were whatever, like a deciduous pine tree or what, you know what I mean? They lose their needles. So thanks for that lesson comments on that. All right, so we're going with a little bit of that haze right in here. We have it right in here. I like doing it at the base of trees and right here, okay? You're chasing kittens. You got a lot of fun critters there at the house, as I see in your Facebook posts. All right, so I'm going a little bit more. See, it's kind of glowing a little bit more. Hello, Megan. How are you? We see you in the AM and in the PM alike, even when the AM is really deep into the AM hours. All right, there we go with that nice kind of forest floor glow. And this ink will dry a little bit darker. I'm saying that with a question mark because some of these trunks in here and like reeds stayed surprisingly quite light after they dried. And I expected them to get a little bit more kind of see-through, showing the blue, whatever, the blue at the surface a little bit more. But I don't know, it stayed. But the contrast between that white, the white impressions stayed pretty strong on this surface. It might be because a lot of colored foils. Okay, so this is the thing with this foil too. Okay, a lot of the foils that you'll get are silver foil, which this one might be too, and then they print over it with whatever color they want. So if you have a red colored foil, i.e., the Recollections brand one like this, or here's their magenta one, etc. Okay, These ones you see, these has this like crate paper on the back. This is the type of paper that you get from Michaels in the recollection packs. There's probably other types there too, but these are just like exposed printer inks on here that print over it in that color. You still get that very reflective type of look. But if I add on this type of white pigment ink, some of this color on here seeps into the Brilliance ink. Probably other types too. If you did like an oil based on there, it would probably seep into that as well. But this one right here is more sealed off. It's more in the spirit of the silver and gold, very mirrored cardstocks. They're a little bit higher quality, but they're sealed off a little bit more. So, okay, so maybe that's the thing. You know, you got to get used to every one of these. And I've just been using this blue one for a little bit, this pack. But again, it's more, yeah, it's sealed off. So maybe that's why. I'm almost sure that's why. Because there isn't any physical merging of the two, you know, of the different media on here. The white pigment ink and the printer ink on here. All right, but anyways, see how this is coming together like that? Isn't that fun? I'm going to add some down in my water a little bit. This little stream in here looks kind of strange in reverse out. You know, white on dark like that, so kind of not quite sure what this will look like, but I think that looks pretty decent like that. And let's add in a little bit of softness to... Sorry, my speech pattern's so slow. I'm kind of looking for things, and when I'm thinking about doing something, in my mind, as I'm saying it, I'm kind of wondering to myself, is that going to work? Or, you know, when I'm saying I'm going to get something and kind of in my mind, I'm thinking, well, where am I going to put this? All right, so cotton ball, or a Q-tip, I meant, cotton swab. And on this one right here, I fray the end a little bit. I soften it up. 100% cotton swab right here. Okay, the acrylic ones, the synthetics, don't work, or they work very poorly. Okay, so I'm softening that up because I want a soft application. I don't want this hard kind of ball of a, you know, of an application from a tightly wound tip. Right here, so see that it's kind of like frayed a little bit and soft. I don't want it like completely frayed, but I just want it soft. So if you want a soft application, you should just use a soft applicator, right? All right, so let's add, I'm going to add, see how all these stars up here are all mono, it's kind of a mono texture. Okay, so what we'll do, don't do it on all of them. It'll look kind of weird. Again, then, you know, if you do them on all of them, then, you know, then you have mono texture again. But what we'll do is we'll just go in here, and on a few of these, we'll make them kind of glow. These little dots or stars, or they could be snowballs, snowfall, like a whimsical kind of snowfall in here. Like that. So you have those little bit of glowing little bits of light, like so. I'm going to add some of that into my foreground as well. And some of these splatter painting, you know, applications of paint, or my little dots down here. It was both splatter painted and acrylic paint pen added. Yeah, it's looking better. You can go really, really light too. You can just tap it down a little bit and don't press too hard, and you get this really kind of small application. See that right there, as opposed to like that one right there. Maybe one's a little bit closer to us, another one's glowing. It's kind of more in the distance, maybe. It could represent, I don't know, whatever it looks like to you visually. All right, so we have that right there. I'm starting to lose some of this right here as it dries. Like I said, it gets a little bit lighter. So you just come back in here and add a little bit more. The more you add there, or wherever you're adding it to, becomes more built up and thus opaque. Okay. Now I don't want it opaque. I want it see-through, but I want it I want it to be visible. All right, let's see here. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit too much there, huh? So we'll go in here. I'm just going into my clean side right here, and you dab that down a little bit. Dab it down again. Okay, I think that's about right. I have to leave a little bit of tolerance for it to dry, and it'll get a little bit darker. Oh, here. I can't show that. I have my window open right here, so there's a lot of glare on it, but let's tilt it a little bit like that, just so you can kind of see. Anyways, that's one of the charm about these foil pieces, is that when you look at it at different angles, it looks a little bit different. This type of paper right here would be kind of interesting. I don't know how effective it would be, but to do some little applications on here, maybe with some glow-in-the-dark paint, or maybe these little glowing little stars or snowfall, whatever they represent, orbs. Maybe you can add it with glow-in-the-dark paint in there, let it dry, and then go over it and have this little kind of glowing little element like that. When you don't add too much of this, though, it doesn't glow for very long. You charge it up and it, you know what I mean? A little dot of it like that. Sometimes it doesn't last long enough to where it's kind of worth it. If I had like some kind of really super tiny kind of hole punch, maybe that's like a 16th, I don't know, 16th of an inch, that would be really, really tiny. Or, I don't know, maybe something a little bit larger than that. I don't know, an eighth would be big, though. So, I don't know, some little tiny thing like that. And you can punch little dots out of like that sticker vinyl glow-in-the-dark. That would be really good, I think. But it would just be a matter of, you got to lay down that little mist ahead of time, spray seal it, and then put that little sticker right in the center of it. And I think that would look pretty cool on a scenario like this. You'd have a little bit of an extra type of thing where it's, you can take something like this, it looks different in different light, and then you can charge it up, and, it would have that little hidden kind of whatever element in there. You turn off the lights and it's kind of glowing in there. That would be kind of cool, I think. Let's see here. Linda never takes us on vacation. Hey, Linda, you should, we wanted to, do you have any pictures of those dead larch? They're not really dead, but we were just saying, you said, that's what you told me. You thought those trees were dead. That's what I would have thought driving through, something like that. You see like this, what you think would be an evergreen, just kind of stripped of all its needles. We just assume it's dead. Okay, that's what I was wondering about. Yeah, you said you ran into a lot of different weather. You ran into a lot of rain, though, huh? You gave me some time to sleep in between the early. I don't know. I might. I'm into doing every time I see those weather reports and things like that on TV. I'm thinking I should do like another cool tone scheme, color scheme. I want to do a lot more of these. I really love the look of that white pigmenting fog in here now. That really neat, required that. Linda gave me the idea last night. She said, "Hey, no mist." And it was like, I can't. It's like, oh, we could just spray seal it and then do it, huh? Yeah, but that's what it totally needed. Let's see, Highway 22. I should look at it and see where that Highway 22 is up your way. I'm reading the Penticton, I can't say that for some reason. Let's see. Hello, Sharita. Just finishing this one up, Sharita. It was too busy in here. We did this one last night. It was just basically stamping the imagery. Then I kind of went overboard, which I often do in my pieces. I go overboard with a lot of detailing because I love adding detail in my scenes, but sometimes it gets too texturally busy, okay? But that's where this glowing kind of, this solves all my problems right here. Just any kind of white pigment ink. The brilliance, though, dries a little bit faster on things like foils. But I think that pretty much took care of it. It was just all really, really busy. You can see all the kind of the busy textures in here from all the little dots and snowfall and sparkles and highlights, etc. Okay, but they're balanced out more now with this glowing kind of soft application of light, where the little dots are a very crisp and light application of it. So, the mist is kind of both. It's not opaque, but it's thicker and thinner, so you have variation in it. Okay. Now speaking of that, I mean, what I should have done with some of this, instead of just going with all like white paint pen, I probably should have used some blue in here to harmonize with the blue paper. But the blue dots in here would recess, they would go back in space because they're darker, so I'd get a little bit more variation, but you still get the texture at the same time. So it's that would be good there. But anyways, I mean, I wasn't like fussing about it. If I do another one of these, I'll do that. But I don't know, these types of reverse pieces like this are pretty nice. And the ink dried. I thought the ink might take a little bit longer to dry because some of my applications of the black brilliance on, I forgot what I did. Okay. Oh, yeah. This one right here, where I used the white and black brilliance on this one, these images took forever to dry. And I think it's because I re-inked this one. So it was a big slathering of ink on these two impressions right here. And that took like a couple days to dry for me. And then I put it outside too, where it was kind of hot and dry. And let it dry. And then I spray sealed it a couple times. But I don't know. I thought this the white one might take equally as long because I re-inked that before I made my impressions, because I was using the Art Foamies ones, and I figured I'm going to have a lot of coverage and it's going to be absorbing some of my ink at the same time because it's foam, but it didn't have any problem of drying just overnight completely. And I didn't really need to spray it off too much. I gave it a really light spray, and then I touched around on the impressions. And I kind of give it a little bit of a rub, and I see if there's any kind of residual kind of it looks like white chalk or something like that would be coming off. But I didn't really get that after like one or two coats, so it adhered kind of, a little bit on there. Where sometimes you rub it, like the black one. I don't know if the chemistry is different, from one color to the next, but it seemed to be wiping off a little bit on me, the black one. So I had to spray seal more than the white. So I don't know. I don't know if it had to do with the amount of ink application on there, or transfer in the impressions from that, that last scene to this one or not. But I don't know. You know, it, I don't know. It was user friendly in terms of drying time. Yeah, Linda, it came together, huh? Really well. I really like the look of it now. From a textural standpoint, it's not so nuts. Maybe I can go up here a little bit more too. But as we were mentioning in the live stream last night, I think if I did a scene like this again, I think I would put like a moon right back up in here. I mean, I can kind of still do it, but I don't think I will because the overhanging limbs right there would just kind of merge right in there. But I think a moon would have been cool in here. Maybe we'd even do like, maybe we would do like moonbeams, like going through a forest on this type of paper. I would have to stamp out these first though, like this, and then I'll spray seal it, and then I'll come on and finish off the like the beams in like a video or live stream. But I think something like that might be cool on this. Yeah, we'll have to give that one a try because I really love the look of that. Just thin layers of this white pigment ink on here, because when you add it in those different thicknesses, you get that bluish tinge showing through like the thinner application of that. This looks really bright right here. I'm kind of surprised that's kind of hanging around there and not drying darker. But again, I think this is just a different type of, a little bit of a different, more sealed off foil. So, anyway, just thinking out loud here, trying to figure it out. Before we move on to different types of techniques, and I completely forget, about this here. Bambi lithograph. Those are some of the coolest types of things. I always say people should reference animation when stamping scenes out. It's really inspiring. New ones and old. The one of the best ones is Snow White with those Ivan Earl backgrounds and just the colors and everything like that. The lighting. It's just master class in whatever, like whimsical landscapes. Penticton. Okay, Penticton. I'll take a look at that. Very holiday feel and mood. Yeah, Sharita, we're looking for like cool temperature scenes right now for people. So as you watch these videos, as I'm doing these cool tone scenes, if you're hot and wherever you're at, maybe it isn't, you should get like a Slurpee. Or at very minimum, like a nice cold drink. Yeah, we'll do a moon on that. Another one like this. Maybe I'll do it like a similar composition like this. I do like the structure of this one with the snowy brook and then the trees around it. But we'll have like a moon or something in there. I don't know if I can do a moon and the beams coming right from the moon, or if the moon would be off to the side, or we can do one with moon in there like that. If I did that, I think I would have a lot more lighting right in here. Then it would make sense to do that, huh? But then, yeah, like I said, another one where we'll have these. Maybe I'd do like a cloud up here, and then the light beams kind of like streaming through. You can have it going in like in back of this tree right here, like a beam coming like there, and then you have another beam coming, but it's in front of that tree. Maybe going behind this one or going in front of it. And, sometimes you can come down here and have another one going behind the tree. So it's like this light weaving in between your different layers of depth in here. So this is like near, farther, farthest. But you can have it going in back and in front of your imagery in there. I don't know if it'd be too much, maybe like this can handle like 3 beams in here or something like that. but I think that might be kind of cool. And you can make them really super see-through too, so it's like a really weak beam and like a stronger beam. Yeah, yeah. So on waterfalls, Mark, it's always you almost always see that white pigment ink at the base of the waterfalls and that churning water, and that's one area where I get really condensed with a lot of little splashy textures down here. A lot of times I take my splattering, and let's say there's a waterfall coming down right here. I take it and splatter that area right there. But then you follow it up with some of that misty kind of churning water or something like that. That was what the thing that gave me the idea for using white pigment ink in scenes years ago, is for a Rubber Stamp Madness ad. I think I have it right next to my table. Yeah, okay. So here's the first time I mentioned this in a previous video. I showed this piece right here. But this is the first time I ever used white pigment ink in a scene. Okay, now I wasn't doing splatter painting at this time. But right down at the base down in here is that white pigment ink. And I used it right back up in here. But yeah, this is the original too. This is how I used to send in advertisements to, the different publishers. I think scanning, you weren't really like scanning it off and sending in you'd have to send in like a, I don't know, like a floppy disk or something like that back then. But yeah, this is the very first time. I don't know if you can see in here. You can kind of see that all those little dots down there. But it got very busy looking, so I added in that mist over the top of it. And I don't know. This is like from, let me see, September, October 1998. Yeah. All of you guys were little kids at the time. Little twinkly star. I don't know, it seems like a long time ago. On the other hand, I don't know, it doesn't seem like that long ago because I remember doing this. I don't know. And here's one of those little tips right here too, okay? So this is what I do in some of my classes too. Okay, so these are the exact colors that were used here on this scene. Not to get into a completely different topic here. I don't know. I guess to get into a different topic here, but... Okay, so this is the color scheme right here, and these are the exact same colors used on this, okay? So instead of stamping out your imagery in black, which we normally do, waterfall stamped in black or whatever, and then you color in, right? You got a color scheme like this, okay? So things like in the distance like that are stamped in this color. This color right here is not black, it's dark brown, okay? And then all my other main imagery in here kind of was stamped in this dark brown, okay? And then you retain your black here for only the foreground imagery. So that really pushes depth. So it just has a different feel than if all these images in here were all in black. If that was the case, then the oak branch here wouldn't stand out against all that imagery. It would just be really too busy to add in these foreground branches in here because you'd have all this texture in the background from the rocks and waterfalls and things like that in black. So you'd have black on black. And you wouldn't be able to see it, but see how this branch really stands out against that background in there. And then I've mentioned this before, and you'll see me doing it in the scenes, but I've mentioned in warm tones color schemes, if you have that bluish tinge in there like that, so this is like a colored pencil. I wasn't using colored pencils back in those days, but that little tinge of it looks like green in there, but it's really just kind of like a really light shade of blue, but it's over the top of some of that yellow right there. But that blue really, really adds a lot to the look. I just did another scene recently where I used some of that blue. I mean, I do it all the time, but where it's like oftentimes it's just too warm in there. But that color right there, and there it is right there and there. You don't use it everywhere, but you just kind of use that to enhance kind of that temperature scheme by you bend it a little bit, you start moving into the cooler spectrum there. And that's a little bit of a warm blue, but it's kind of moving into the cools like that. And it's vice versa. And, you know, areas up here, I don't know if I did it, you can see it, but I probably used a little bit of warmth like up in here in that area. This is kind of a weird format right here because I didn't have like, this is, I don't know what size paper this is, but the largest size paper I had was 12 by 8, 12 by 11 by 17, okay? But the Rubber Stamp Madness ads at the time were like, I don't know, this size right here, so they're huge, right? So I had to put in some sort of extra elements like text or something like that back down, but this is right here, probably the width. I don't know, I had to work around it, you know? We weren't like blowing stuff up in Photoshop and stuff like that too, so. Anyway, your first ever, whatever, fog, probably. And if I did it there, it was probably the first ever time it's been used in any type of scene before for fog. Anyway, there you go. There's a little bit of rubber stamp history, or whatever, Stampscapes history with fog. But it was like 1998, and very few scenes since then are ones where I haven't used a little bit of that pigment ink, especially if it was on like glossy cardstock or something like that. If I'm using like wood grain papers these days, you know, I'm probably not doing that. So anyway, let's see. I don't know. There's my like. I got sidetracked there with Mark's comment there on the waterfalls. Because I love doing that on the waterfalls. I mean, like a total scenic stamping geek when you get me talking about something. Then you guys, you know, suffer. A tiny moon, yeah, that's true, Linda. A tiny moon might be kind of cool in there. It kind of needs something. It's a little bit of an extra focal point in there. Let me see. Moon on, like a little moon on there. I don't like that moon on the horizon. I think it's a good idea, but I think it would be kind of weird right next to it like that. If it was over here. I think the moon right here, for me, visually, I keep thinking about that, but I don't know. You might be right. Or, you know, it'd be kind of cool. I mean, when we don't have room for a moon, that's when I did that. Okay, not to bring that out again, but like this right here. See, there was nothing going on up here in this little space, so that's where I have that little, like, 8-point little star like that up there. I mean, it's a minor little thing, but just in terms of seeing that little thing right there, or that space, I mean, that's like the far space in the scene right there. So you have whatever background, this is like midground, and then all this is foreground right here. So, I mean, the eye does kind of travel up this way into there, but if I didn't have that little kind of landing spot right there, it would look kind of boring. So that's another option right there, like a little twinkly star in here somewhere. Over here, but I don't know. I put in those twinkly stars in here too. There's a bunch of, you know, like those crystal rhinestones in here. So it kind of gets in the way of where that, like an ideal little star could be, like that. I think. I don't know. Well, I'll think about it here. We aren't that young. Oh, you guys were like little kids when I did that scene there in '98. Let's see. Yeah, Megan, we kept Megan up really late last night. She has the notification bell tied into her like front doorbell, you know, in her residence. Yeah, I hit the live stream last night. I think it must, I don't know if it was almost 1 a.m. It went into 1 a.m. If it didn't start at 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Linda and I are in the same time zones, though. Some people aren't. Some people where you got on at like Eastern Standard Time, like 3 hours ahead. They're up watching it like at 4. 12 hours to our campsite and downpoured for 20 hours. Wow. That's insane. I've only camped out, but I was camping out in like a tent, you know? I've only camped out in the rain once. And then I woke up and it was like snow everywhere. And the tent that I was in, I wasn't prepared for that. So my tent, the bottom of my tent was like soaking wet. Let's see. You were 22 in 98. In 98, let me see. I think I was 7. Yeah. Well, sometimes, hey, sometimes that's the best time when it's like super hot out, you know? Right now, for us down in San Diego here, it's actually kind of mild. We don't have it too bad, and it's not like super muggy. I mean, maybe if I go outside for a long time, maybe so, but you know, I'm not complaining. It's like I checked out that kind of the chart of like North America, and it was like, yeah, the weather down here right now, we don't have anything to complain about. All right, folks. So, anyways, yeah, hope to see you on the. Thanks for joining in, and we'll come up with some other cool tone scenes. I don't know. I'm gonna just keep doing like all kind of like chilly kind of cool tone scenes. Oh, we should do a cave, you know, or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. If I do like a desert scene with some of those new desert sets, I'll do it like in a like a springtime type of thing or like a moonlit one. But okay, so this one right here, speaking of that, something like this, I don't think I've done like a blue foil, you know, like a moonlit desert scene at this point in time. That might be kind of interesting. And I might want to try something out with the blue foil too in doing that kind of that aurora borealis type of look. I'll have to see if I can come up with something like that where we're adding in that kind of curtainy type of look with the white pigment ink in there. Usually I'm doing it with black, and then whatever I don't cover up, that's the curtain of light. But on this one right here, it'd be adding in that type of thing. I don't know, maybe it'd look more cloudy or something like that, but we'll try to figure something out with it. And I think we can come up with some good looks and take advantage of that super reflective type of quality of the foil like that to give us some different, whatever, lighting than what we've seen before, maybe. All right, folks. I can't type right here. It's too hot. All right, folks. Hope to see you. We'll see you in an hour.